All right. Good morning. We are live on social media. Let me get the event won't start. That's interesting. We're going to fix that. Let's fix that right now. Sorry, guys. I'm in Discord trying to fight with that for a second. Give me 2 seconds. All right. I'm rambling in Discord to myself at this point. Okay, there we go. Let me restart. Oh, I love it. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I just got to start up the Discord. It's always the clunkiest part. All right. There we are. What's up, Charlie? Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday. We're getting the video set up for you. Are you able to see me and hear me? And I hope that's as far as your senses go here. Okay, cool. We already got everybody on the way in. Sounds in, site's good. All right. Good as good as it can be, right? All right, so we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X again, and Kick this morning, as well as here in the Discord. So we're gonna have a fun morning. It's another day where we've got kind of sparse volume pre-market, so I might just hold off to after market open before I jump into trades with any kind of intent. So there's a lot of potential ones, but they need that volume to come in and push the price before we're gonna make any money off it. So. What's up, Nikki? I actually like this one a lot. This is DVLT. So let me just go ahead and draw some levels out. We'll get some juices flowing here, and we'll see what we can get. We got a pretty decent range right here, kind of a decent one there as well. So that'll be the gap, and obviously we know these ascending highs and kind of flat lows. I might trade this one. Actually, no, I'm not going to trade this one. I like the setup though, so we can watch this one. This is DVLT. The reason I'm not going to trade this one is because this would take the entire small account, or almost all of it, all but like $5. The challenge here is it's a 49-cent stock or 50-cent stock, and on Webull you have to buy at least 100 shares if something is sub-dollar. So that would require 49 of my $54. So I can't do that today on this account. But I do like this one. I like this setup. If this gets volume right here, this is the kind of setup that just pops pretty quickly and pretty easily. But again, that's okay. There's always going to be opportunities. There's always going to be, ones that pass us by. There's always going to be profit left on the table, and that your brain has to balance things out, because there's also going to be moves that you weren't part of that went down, and you're not going to beat yourself up over those, right? Like I wasn't in this right here. Okay. So I feel good about not being in there. And I feel good about not being in this one because that means I didn't have any risk exposure during this entire period of time. And that's okay, because that's my job. My job isn't just to pine over profits that I couldn't participate in. And I just said a lot of P's. Always avoid alliteration, right? So I'm just kind of shopping around a little bit, just looking and seeing what's out there. What's going on here? It says, man, I get into just learning stocks one day, and that same day I joined Discords thinking about surrounding myself with like-minded individuals. I see scam accounts claiming to be you, one after the other in DMs. Crazy, seem like a legit guy. I feel bad. That sucks, man. I'm sorry about that. You're in our Discord? The problem there is Discord doesn't, like we put a verification thing in place, but Discord doesn't do anything about the spammers in a lot of cases. It takes a lot of reports. And they join our server, and then they just clone our accounts, and then they leave after they get our member list, and then they just DM everybody. And that sucks, but there's not a whole lot we can do, unfortunately. The Discord API is just, it's too exposed. You can like literally ping an endpoint and get a bunch of data. It's horrible. So, but I'm glad you're here. We are definitely like-minded, and we want to see everybody succeed. So sorry that happened to you. I would recommend to everybody, just in general, just turn off your DMs from non-friends in Discord. It's one of the best settings there is. And then that way you won't have to deal with spammers from any server. Charlie, do you know for a year and a half, I thought it was $100 of a, negative dollar? Yeah, that's okay. We get what we get. Let me see, I'm taking a break from scalping. It's a headache. And that, okay, so that right there, that sentence, okay, GFED. I assume that's get forked. That is a self-solving problem, right? You're taking a break from scalping, and you also said it's a headache. So if it's a headache, that means it's stressful, which means that something is causing stress, and there's uncertainty that's kind of interfering with your decision making and your perception of the trade, the risk, right? So you're choosing in that same sentence to take a break from it, and that's okay. There's no wrong answers. Oh, hey, alarm clock. He's here to correct me every morning. So you're making a good decision there in terms of risk management because you're not forcing things that you're not comfortable trading. And that's good. I want that. I want more of that. I don't want anybody trading anything that they're not comfortable with. Even if you don't want to day trade, it doesn't mean you have to go to swings. It doesn't mean you have to go to options. Just there's nothing wrong with just taking a step back and finding your bearings and practicing. And actually, since it's a slow morning and there's not a whole lot of high quality, fast mover setups that I like, I say that and then I get one. So I can't trade this one either on this account. It's 86. But this is exactly the kind of setup that I like. But that's okay. So let me pull this up really fast. I got about 9 minutes before market open. I'm going to teach you guys a little bit if you're newer to the stream, and then I'm going to get back into the live trading. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of education, a little bit of trading, but I want you guys to learn every time you're on one of my streams. So what I have here, right? And I'm going to make this super fast because I talk about this all the time. This is my basic approach to the stock market, right? So obviously financial security outside the market is the most important piece of this because a lot of people get into the market thinking it will bail them out. That is not the case. This should be a side hustle. It's a savings account. You control the interest rate. If you treat it like anything else, you're going to stress out. You're going to have a hard time. Okay. Being financially secure outside the market, having good credit, which you can build for free. Don't let the lies get you. Having an emergency fund that covers 6 months of your income, if you can contribute to that first, it's going to put you in a better position. Then making consistent contributions to a portfolio and treating it like a savings account is the next best step. And that will automatically increase your portfolio value over time as long as you don't lose more than you're depositing, right? That's, again, just a savings account. And then what I like to do is take about 70% of those contributions and put them into investments, long-term growth stocks, ETFs, and diversified long-term investments. And then I like to take a smaller amount, like 30%, and put that into speculation. And that's kind of what we're dealing with today. So on this super small account, this is not part of that. It's just like an extra $50 that I just use to keep things small and relatable for you guys. And we can grow that over and over. So on the investment side, I like things that pay me money because that means that I don't have to go out and work harder and more for the same number of dollars to be taxed again. And all that good garbage. So I like stocks that just pay me money. I want them to go out and get their friends and bring them back home, right? So when I get those dividend payouts, I can reinvest them into stocks in that portfolio. It's a pretty common sense approach. And then that contributes a second stream of revenue for the portfolio. So I've got the contributions and the dividend reinvestment plus the share appreciation. Shares can't technically appreciate. They're not physical, but you get the idea. They increase in value and that grows the portfolio. Okay, and that's before I even look at a chart. Then I come down here and I look at the speculation stuff and I just limit my positions to a finite number of trades per day. I use a position management rule of some sort. I'm not using the 1% rule today, but there's many approaches and this is all plug and play. If you don't want this one, you can swap it out for a different strategy. That's okay. Same with technical analysis. But using that specific approach, if I had, let's say, a $20 portfolio or a $100 portfolio, sorry, I would walk away with 5 trades at 20% each. I would have a guaranteed 2% or 1% win or loss for every trade. Ideally, there's going to be some inefficiencies, which gives me a finite number of outcomes for every single day. So I'm either $2 up or $1 down for the day or anywhere in between. If I trade at all, the alternative is $0. If I don't trade, I know I'm going super fast here. I don't want to run out of time. All my losses go towards taxes. I can claim them back at the end of the year unless they're disallowed through wash sales. And this is on a recording, so I want you guys to like bookmark this and watch it a million times because I'm going super fast here. Basically, anything I lose in the market, I can get back at tax time as long as I don't mess it up. All the profits go to reinvestment, which provides my third and most fun additional stream of revenue for this portfolio to grow. And that compounds stupidly fast once we figure it all out and once we stop bleeding out. Okay, so with all that said, let's focus back in the market. We're about to enter auction cross here in about 25 seconds, and this means I can start to look for some volume. Oof. I think that's the fastest I've ever gone through that. I think we all earned a break. Let me read the chat here. The best part is these accounts tell you to do exactly that. Yeah, close DM to non-friends, some in the clear. Wasn't a big deal, thankfully. We'll definitely be popping in from time to time as I get into it. I can tell there's great info and good intentions here. Glad to join, see you around. Well, I'm glad you're here, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for the feedback as well. There's a whole community in the Discord. And I'm just sorry you got bombarded with the spammers. That sucks. But, you know, we're also on these other platforms, and you can always just shoot me a DM. I will never DM you first. So if you ever do want to chat, just go to my name in the Discord. It'll have a green name, and it'll have an admin badge. Actually, let me just show you what that looks like really quick. So I'm just going to say hi. This will be my name. It's a green name, and it'll have the actual buttons here. Sometimes they clone this, and it's like the emoji, and then it'll say analyst, and then it'll have the gray emoji, and it'll say dev. Don't fall for that. They're very clever, but they're stupid. But either way, yeah, whenever you're around, just, we're here for you. So it looks like DVLT is making a run for it. It's going to have some potential resistance up here, but, you know, we're not trading this, or I'm not trading this one anyway. Let me catch up on the chat as well. I keep skipping that. You guys are just chatting up a storm today. I love it. Yeah, scalping is more stressful than swinging, and that's because you're taking the same amount of price action or a similar amount of price action, and rather than spreading it over the course of days or weeks, you're compressing it within a couple seconds or a minute or a couple minutes in a lot of cases. Now, scalping in a traditional sense is usually like 0.5% to 1% move. It's just a clean move. You don't have any pullbacks during a scalp traditionally. So I'm assuming you mean day trading. Like this would not be a day trade. From here to here, that's a scalp, like this right here. That's a scalp. Like if you got in on a break over that and just sold right here, that would be a traditional scalp. This is more of a day trade because you can see it's pulling back, and a scalper would not be in at that point. You almost have to be like a high frequency algo for that stuff. But that's just something I like to clarify. But yeah, no, compressing all that down into a narrower time frame. It's like if I give you an hour to take a math test and then I say, oh, you got 3 minutes, you know, it's going to be a lot more stressful. So, you know, it makes sense. Now, the risk is higher on swings in terms of risk range and the fact that you're holding outside market hours, which means that if you're not monitoring them, your stop losses won't work. So you have to manually stop out. And that's where things get stressful and risky, because a company could drop a news catalyst at 10 o'clock at night and halt and delist right then and there. And that's happened a couple of times. There was a big one, I think like 3 years ago, that a bunch of people were trading in this Discord. It's a good company. They halted for a news catalyst. This was before you could even trade past like 6 p.m. Or after like 8 a.m. or before 8 a.m. Sorry. So the window was a lot smaller then. And they dumped on everybody. I'm sure they got sued. Which one am I going to trade? Oh, sorry, Ashwaz. So I can't trade DVLT on this account because it would take almost all the settled cash. It's a small cash account. It's $54. And this would require me to buy 100 shares, which means I'd have to buy $52 worth at this point. Plus, it's already kind of ran, right? We identified it down here. Over here. So I don't want to jump into this as a one and done for the day. I kind of told the members that I'd do more trades and smaller trades. So that way we can get a little more activity going on, which I personally don't like, but I get that you guys want more setups and stuff. So we'll make the most of it. But pre-market, I'm not really going to be looking to trade anything. I don't think there's just not good volume. You know, these are moving, yes, but look at how choppy this is, and look at how inconsistent this volume is. It's like I always like to call it the old Excite Bike tracks. If you ever remember that Nintendo game where it's just like ramps and and jumps and stuff. That's all we see on the volume on these. So APVO and ETNB are two of my favorites for pre-markets. LASE as well, LASE. This is obviously one that's got massive potential. We trade the hell out of this one. Not going to be trading INTC because it's a $31 stock, and that would take more than half the portfolio as well. So I'm going to be sticking probably with the maybe $1 to $20 range max. I don't want to go any higher than that. And we got about 30 seconds left, so I'm going to hang out. So it's a pretty risky morning because we don't have that good volume. It's pretty sparse and it's kind of here and there, you know. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on AERT for a break over $1. Let me just draw that out as well. So pretty much just the top gainers, but I'm going to look in about 5 seconds here. I'll switch this over. I'll do it right now to the 1 day. And then when the market opens, market's open right now, this will update within a couple, you know, it might take a little bit, but it'll update and kind of, we'll be able to see the activity. So I have my hotkeys set up here as well. So I think I'm just going to do a couple little $5 trades. Going to hang out for a second here. If I can get a break over like this wick or pre-market high on LASE, I'll grab this one, and it's just $5. I'm risking a very small amount. But I'm going to wait until it actually breaks out. That way I don't have to anticipate and jump in and say, oh, it might do it, blah, 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 because it hasn't done it yet. Okay. So we'll see what we get. There's a couple stocks that I just kind of have to avoid, the sub-dollar ones, like the AERT and DVLT. They're good setups, but I can't trade them just yet. Now, AERT is making an aggressive push for $1. So I might be able to get a piece of that one, but I'm keeping an eye on APVO as well. So I have AERT pulled up now. I know you guys can't always see the tickers. So APVO and AERT so far. I also want to keep an eye on LASE. That's the one that I'm looking for a break over 416. So what I can do, I mean, I guess I could just pull up a 3 chart here, right? We'll do 3 chart, and then I'll put APVO bottom left, AERT bottom right, and then I'll just click the chart that I want to trade, and then I can just use my hotkeys to get in and out when it's time to get in and out. Actually, I think I might kick this up to 10, oh, not 100, $10. So I'm going to try to get into AERT if it breaks over $1. Looks like the other two are kind of pulling down. So when this happens, the price consolidates, the participation consolidates, and it tends to pour into a couple tickers. And that's how we get our runners. So it hasn't broken over yet. So this is where patience is key. You have to be patient with these things. I like to watch paint dry here. All right, so we're about to get our pop, in theory, over $1 on AERT. That'll be my closest watch for right now. It's struggling a little bit, but it still has plenty of strength going into this level. And I'm just looking for a quick pop. I'm gonna try to get filled here. Sometimes you can place an order at $1 and it'll fill below it, which is kind of a weird little workaround for for Webull. But we'll have to see. Oh, there's a nice little stall. So we should be popping up here pretty soon. So let me zoom in on that one. So basically we see the heartbeat and then we see a stall near the top of it. That's an opportunity for the price to break out. Now, in this case, it hasn't, so no entry. But that's kind of the thing that I'd like to be looking for. And I don't really like stuff going sideways like this or stalling. I just want it to be moving when I get in. That's ideal. So let me keep shopping around here. Oh, we gotta focus on this one again. All right, so I got filled for 9 shares on AERT, and now we'll just look to sell out of that one when it's time. And on the other charts here, I'm going to pull up AQB. This looks like a top special. Top likes these, the ones that just have that initial pump. Kind of like LASE. I kind of want this one to just push as well. If this one can break over 416, we got a pretty easy target up there, just under 460. But we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see. JPEG. Oh yeah, the video quality. I'm sorry, man. That's a rough one. Yeah, it's one of those more like there's just not a lot going on in the market this morning. I don't want to force anything, you know. PBM is nice. We like this one. So for this one, right, we've got a good area of boom boom, come down here, right? Let me just erase all these lines. So we can look for a retest on that one. I'm up 7.5%, 8% on AERT, 10%. I'm going to go ahead and look to lock some of that out right around here, 11%. So I hit Control 2, and that sells 75% of my shares. So I just have the 3 left now. The reason I want to do that is because that guarantees me a net profit if the other 3 shares that are remaining come back down and go to break even or below. Yeah, it stalls. So, and I don't want to hang out at that point. And I can always add to the position on the way up on pullbacks. But for right now, I just want to get in and get my piece. And then that way, I don't have to worry too much about, oh, I might have missed that re-entry on that one. Let me, I'm trying to get it on the on PBM here if it wants to keep pushing. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab 2 shares of PBM as well. I think I'm just going to do a 2 chart here because I'm kind of ignoring the top chart. So I'm going to put PBM on top and AERT on the bottom. So I took a relatively high entry up here on PBM. I might end up cutting it if it doesn't do what I want it to do. But we'll see. It's got plenty of potential. AERT halted at 112, yeah. And that's okay. That's the name of the game, right? That's the move I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for a break over highs and for just a clean rally. So if I come down here to the 15-minute, I come down to the 1 hour, this is kind of abnormal. You know, we've got a range up to like let's say 115, which is kind of just above where we stalled. And then we got maybe the 138 and 140 range, right? That's where the price kind of bounces between historically. So I can then look for a pullback and all that good stuff if I want to. PBM is over my break even about 2%, 2.5%, 3%, 2%, 1.3%. So it's kind of hanging out. It's got to clear this little shakeout and then it can rally. So there we've cleared over the wicks. Sorry, I can't talk today. And this is the scalp, right? So right here, I would be selling some if I were a scalper, just a traditional scalper. So again, I'm going to have my control key ready. There's my 6%. I can lock it right there and be done with that if I want to. I'm not going to sell it just yet because there's still a lot of potential in this one, in my opinion. And I have a little bit higher risk tolerance than I think most traders. So, well, I can't say most traders because there's a lot of people out there that just don't care. But most risk-averse traders. And again, that right there. So we're going to see some violence. It means you get higher lows candle to candle, inconsistent highs, increasing volume. You know, it could go either way. So, well, this one down here on the bottom, AERT is kind of cooking. By that, I mean it's halted. That's got about another 2.5 minutes before it unhalts. So let me look around. I do like ETNB. Do I like it enough to trade it? No. It's a $15 stock. I don't want to do all that to myself. I'm already in PBM. So DVLT is, ooh, this is beautiful. Okay, so this is kind of back in the area where I want to watch it. So that's good. So I can look for a break over. Well, no, I can't trade this one. I keep forgetting I'm on a small account. Sorry. So normally I just look for a break over like this 48-cent level right here. Just a boop. But I can't do that today. Not on this account. LASC never got a breakovers, therefore no risk exposure, right? That's the name of the game. If it doesn't tell you it's time to trade it, we don't like to trade it. All right. AQB has pulled back, so we didn't get our break that we like, right? Didn't break over any of these highs here. INTC, I can't trade. NVNI, PESI. So this one we made a ton of money on. We traded the hell out of PESI a long time ago. And I think it was like one of these. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, I can't remember. It was a good one, though. I just can't remember exactly when it was. But I do like this one. It just needs volume. Like, I don't like it when it's kind of, when there's these barcode wicks on both sides of candles and stuff. Not a big fan of that. So we'll see. We got about a minute left before AERT unhalts as well. APVO needs to rally, needs to push up. It may or may not do that. DVLT can't trade LASC. So I think at this point, I'm really only looking at ETNB and LASC for secondary trades. How long do stocks halt for? So by default, an LUDP or circuit breaker halt is good for 5 minutes, depending on the tier. And the tier is determined, it's T1, 2, and 3. That's determined based on what price the stock closed at during the previous trading session. So if it's like a 20-cent stock or a $5 stock, there's going to be a slight variance there. But the challenge is that it's not a guaranteed on halt, because if the exchange doesn't adjust the threshold that's set, then it can go anywhere from 15 minutes up to 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It depends. And a lot of times if a stock is halted for a long time, news happens, right? And then they halt, or that's an actual halt at that point, not a suspension, on the news catalyst. And then they drop the news catalyst and all that. That's why halts are super dangerous, because it's not just the circuit breaker halts you have to watch out for, but they can chain into bigger and longer halts and potential delists. And that's what a lot of traders just don't care about. And that's where things get super scary. I think I might look to add a little bit more to this one if we get another break. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and add some more here to AERT, and I'm just going to uncheck that. And we're going to ride the wave a little bit. If it goes up, if it goes down, we'll probably cut it. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see where it goes. And then PBM, again, is just struggling. It's got to get out of this range, basically. It's got to clear this candle right here and then push. And again, as always, please don't copy me, guys. I'm doing super risky trades here on a small account that I don't care about. So please don't follow me blindly. I want you guys to justify your own trades. Death Gun, do not copy me, buddy. Don't do it. You just won 85% on your ATCH yesterday. I want you to protect that money. Use your rules. Use risk management. Don't hold super low float stuff into halts like I do. You can build up to that, but I don't want you to lose your money. Because what you're doing then is you're using my opinions and my perception, and then putting your money at risk because of that. And you might as well just go to the ghetto at that point and just ask what drugs you should buy, or what games you can gamble on, with people that you don't know. Like just walk up to a group of people and just give them your money, basically. It's just not good. So unless it's green and grows from the ground. Well, hemlock grows from the ground. That'll kill you. It'll do some damage. But that's, we're going a little down the rabbit hole on that one. I just don't want anybody to risk their money based on what someone else thinks. It's your money. I want you guys to be able to trade with your own decisions and your own confidence. And you can't do that if you're relying on me to tell you what to do. I want you to scrutinize everything and be like, hey, that doesn't work. Why the hell are you doing that? Or it does work and I like it and I'm going to adopt it into my trading. Analogies today are kind of dark. Well, we're just getting the ball rolling. We're not talking about human trafficking this time. So that's a good start for the day. It's Thursday. We're not talking about, neurological obstacles. Talking about 8 balls. I didn't say anything about 8 balls, man. I just said drugs. It's dealer's choice. Well, I guess it would be if you're. That's a good idea. Actually, yeah. You know what, Porter? I think you just hit it on the head. I think that's where my brain was going, but my mouth didn't catch up. So, yeah, that would literally be like you going to a drug dealer and just be like, give me whatever you want to give me. Like, your opinion matters more. But here's my money, and I'll take whatever you got. They're not going to give you their best stuff. They're going to give you whatever they want to get rid of, and that's what you're going to get. So the best way to avoid that is just not do super risky stuff because of someone else. Yeah, exactly. It's always a disclaimer. So PBM, I'm just waiting for that one to pump. The ERT is kind of chilling. It's going sideways. It's in this range so far. We're still just kind of bouncing around a little bit. I would be okay with it coming down to about here, but I'm not going to be adding any more to it. Top is trading NVNI. Oh yeah, it's just over $1. I like that one. That's on the top here, NVNI. Yeah, this would be a good one to get like a pullback. So in situations like that, we can establish a support range. We got another one right here. We can look for pullbacks and retests of those if we want to. I'm just going to peek back over at PBM here. I would put one more buy into this one max, but I wouldn't be. I won't be holding this one into a new low. So if it comes down, I just take a hit. I take it on the chin. I move forward. If it pushes up anywhere above this box right here, this let me make this like a yellow box. If it pushes up and reverses anywhere above that, I just don't add to it because I'm already in position. I don't want to put all my money in one spot. Same with this one, AERT. If it pushes down, I'm okay. If it pushes back over $1, then I'd consider adding some more, but this is already a rolled position, so I don't want to add too much more to that one if it's moving down. So waiting for it to push up. And this is an important part of trading is right now, this is not the time to make, impulsive decisions and to be, stressed out. So you guys hopefully can see it on my face. I don't have any emotions about this stuff. It's just little amounts of money. What I'm doing is I'm controlling my interest rate with the profits, and then for my savings account. And then for my losses, I'm controlling my tax return or a piece towards my tax return. Now, obviously, I have a lot more factors that go into mine, but when you're smaller and you're starting out, 90% of traders lose the first year to the point where they have to give up trading, but you get most of that back at tax time as long as you don't wash sale. So it's not goodbye. It's see you later when it comes to those losses. So PBM is getting ready. It's definitely wanting to push. It just needs directional volume, and we got a couple of wicks here. It's just got to blast through, and I'm okay with that. We got an easy target, 550, 560 range. I have my lineup here at 581, 582. I think we can hit that pretty easily, but it is going to push this high here. So I'll probably sell one share, above 10% or something like that. It's a $10 position. And then AERT is a $12 position because I had $2 left, maybe $3 at this point, and then I added 10 to it on that roll up. So my original buy was down here. So I'm okay with both of these just doing their thing. And then top is watching NVNI like a hawk. I love it. So you got kind of a tentative area right here. I don't really like that level so much. Yeah, just kind of pulled through that. I would like to see it pull down to here and then a push up to a new high. That's what I would like to see. Now, I don't think I'm going to be trading that one myself, but I do like the setup. I can absolutely see what you're looking for there, and you get that increase in volume. So great find. All right, so it looks like AERT is pulling back a little bit, and that's okay. We're still we've been in the same channel for the last 12 minutes. I think something like that, 12, 13 minutes. So we're just hanging out. Looks like PBM's getting a little bit more juice. It's the volume has to just flood in though. I don't want to see the price kind of hang out and stall and stuff. I just want this to just boosh straight up to the upside. So I got it a little early, I think. All right. So show of hands. If you've already traded this morning, anything, just put a 1 in the chat. If not, put a 2 in the chat just so I know. Just like the Pookie matches his cat. Yeah. That's we go out together. His little copy cow. We steal him outfits. Okay, so a bunch of you hit 1. Floki Death Gun hit 2. Okay. So some of you guys are risk on, some are risk off. For those who said 1, are you are you trading with confidence instead of copying? I said that horribly. Let me just re-ask that. Put a 1 in the chat if you've traded your own stuff with confidence, even if it's the same ticker as mine. Have you traded with confidence? Okay, I'm seeing a couple of 1s. 2 if you're just copying. There's no wrong answers. I just don't want anyone to copy me. Doctor says, no, I have my copycat. Yeah, are you being a copycat like my cat? Copying with terror? Oh no. Shin says 0.5. What does that mean? You traded a super small position? Mr. OG22, 1.5. I don't have a scale for these guys. I'm sorry. Are you sure mine isn't the wrong answer? I mean, I don't judge. I get it. J-Way, I got into AERT at $1, out at 116 with 80% of holding, and then stop loss set at break even, which just hit. Pays for some lunch. Good stuff, man. Just getting in and out. I love it. So again, I took an aggressive position here. I rolled my position up. So I placed my initial buy on a breakout of the zone. I sold a relatively close target. Then it pulled back and I added some more. So I basically took a second trade without completely closing out my first one. And then I'm waiting to scale out of the second part of the trade. I also have to make sure this isn't checked before I go to sell some of these. So I've got a new high at 120, which we've tapped. We just got to push over that. And then we get another potential run. So actually, I might add just a little more snippet over that high if we can break over that high. Now that's going to be super aggressive. So this is not the time to copy. But what I plan to do here, if I can, I'd have to check my settled cash. But basically what I'd like to do here is on a break over 120, I'd like to catch a piece of this. Maybe not the whole thing, obviously, and that's only if we push. But I'd like to get another pop here and just add the position again, because I want to build into strength and then scale out while it's moving into strength along various pieces of it. So if it goes down, I have a plan. If it goes up, I have a plan. If it goes up and then down, I have a plan. If it goes down and then up, I have a plan. So I'm completely prepared for whatever this stock does, barring a news halt that stays there for 2 weeks and then delists. And at that point, I've got a plan for that too, because I've already managed my position well and I've reduced my risk exposure as much as possible through position management. Shin, the same ticker, copying what you see. My eyes can't see it as yet. Still learning. Sold when it hit my target. Done for the day. Okay. So you kind of used a trading aid, basically. Okay. Now, when you do stuff like that, do you have a specific plan to manage your risk? Just in case something goes wrong, because it might take, like my internet might go out. Do you have a plan for managing your positions if that's the case, so that at the end of the day, I'm not sitting on a big fat profit and you're sitting on a loss, or vice versa? Or maybe I have let's say my atrial valve just blows up, right? I want you guys to be prepared because, jet engine could land at my house. Who knows? Like, stuff happens in life. Or something good. I always say bad stuff. It could be something good, maybe it lands on my neighbor's house. I'm just gonna like my neighbors. But I would still have to get up and leave. I'd have to go focus on that. That's a higher priority. Porter, that was horrible. I don't know why you say that. Scream and throw my computer. Yeah, I mean that's a reaction. Now, did the profit you locked cover the cost of that computer and the 3 years worth of tax depreciation that you can claim on your refund potentially? I can't give you tax advice. I can give you education. Solid strategy. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Life is about more than just money, right? So if you want to get that rage out and gratification, you can, but just be careful. Twitch, Alter IQ, so seriously good intentions here. I love it. I'm glad you're here, man. I know the Discord kind of sucks, but if you're Discord platform sucks, not our server. Our server's noisy, but it's a good place. But I'm glad you're here. Hang out on Twitch all you want. There are more streams in the Discord. So I'd recommend jumping in there at least and tolerating the idiot spammers, but we try to work on it as much as we can. I would definitely report whatever accounts do DM you guys to Discord directly, because we can only ban them from the server and report them on our end, but Discord kind of sucks. But I'm glad you're here. I'm not here for the paycheck. I'm here to help you guys change your lives, because I didn't have that. And I know what it's like to be stuck in that cycle. First time using my microwave in my dorm. Ooh. You know what? It's good that they're trusting you guys with microwaves. We weren't allowed to have any microwaves in barracks because of idiots. But we could drive a Bradley around and blow stuff up with tow missiles, but no microwaves. Microwave bullets, yeah. I mean, no, we wouldn't. That's, well, I can't say that we wouldn't. Someone definitely would. Patient told me a horror story a couple months ago that when they were younger, they thought they could dry their cat in the microwave. Yeah, that's rough, man. I've seen some messy stuff. It's not good. But, you know, that's at least it's not something you had to witness firsthand, you know. That's always a little bit of silver lining there as well. All right, so it looks like PBM might be getting another potential rally, but we have to clear highs, right? We can't just be pushing up. We have to be pushing up beyond a threshold if we want this to actually rally. And of course, AERT. Remember, I drew these lines pretty early, you know, and they're still holding up. So, you know, I think they're pretty solid. But at the end of the day, they're just lines, right? The market doesn't see these. They don't care. LAWR is kind of creeping up on the list a little bit. I'm gonna peek at that one. So this is, I don't really like this. Not on a day like this where we just get these kind of meandering pushes and pulls with a lot of mixed price action on low volume. I don't think I'm going to be touching that one. It's in my price range, but I don't like it. ETNB has gone sideways. There's no volume on that one. LASE has gone sideways. It's just one of those mornings, guys. Ooh, okay. So I do like NVNI. Now it's got to push out of this area, right? So this was kind of a tentative zone. Let's see if NVNI wants to push. And I think since this is lower risk, I'll just put 5 in this one. So for this one, I want to see a break over an ascending high or a descending high from candle to candle. Each of these candles has a lower high. So I want to see either a close outside this box or I want to see a break over these highs right here, this candle high. So we'll just hang out. And this is kind of all you can do. Like, unless that volume comes in and really pushes us to the upside, there's no trade, you know. It's just some days you just have to accept there's not a whole lot of good, healthy opportunity in the market. At least on these low float crap stocks, I should say. These are not good quality stocks. I want everyone to understand that. These are just, all we're doing is we're just chasing volume. And by chasing, I mean, we're identifying where it's consolidating, where the participation is focusing in the market, which tickers everyone's looking at, and then getting in along the move or right before the move, and then getting out before everyone else hot potatoes, and because we don't want to be stuck holding the bag. Just up my unrefrigerated McDonald's from last night. What'd you get? Is my audio back? Ooh, that was weird. Yeah, sorry about that. My looks like my internet just stalled out. So right now I have PBM on top and I've got NVNI on the bottom, waiting for NVNI to blast out of this box if it wants to. Let me make that yellow so we can see it clearly. PBM I'm already in, and AERT I'm in as well. So let me switch over and you guys can see that one. That's in this range here that I'm waiting for it to break. All right. Yes, audio good. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. So let me keep an eye on the order book time and sales. I'm going to go ahead and grab some of my shares here in a second on NVNI if it wants to. Though there are better opportunities. I'm using a small position for this one just because it's higher risk, and I might just pass on it. There's no volume on this one. I was hoping to get an increase in volume into this zone as it pushed down, but we just didn't get any volume. So I might just pass on that one. We'll see. We have volume at home, right? That's the classic. The only other one I think I'd be looking at would be APVO, but it's moving down, so there's nothing I can do with that. LAWRs, it's okay, but it's really got to start moving. Let me see on the 3-minute here. So this is one I'm okay just letting it go. It's got plenty of potential. It could push up very aggressively, but I just don't like it. I don't like what it's giving us just yet. Now, if it's going to push, it's going to push for a good while. I'm going to go ahead and grab my NVNI here. I grab 4 shares just over $1. Hey, what's up, Loki? Welcome back. Again, small position on that one. I'm not going for, I don't want to buy a mansion with this one. I just want to get the trade. And then PBM is still it keeps wanting to push up, and it's just not getting the volume that it needs. So we'll just hang out for a little bit, see what we get. I'm now in 3 positions. AERT is a rolled one, which means that it's bigger because I've added to an existing position. PBM is the appropriate size, that's $10. And then NVNI is a half position, it's $5. So I'm just kind of using different sizes based on the risk versus reward potential. And we'll just see which way this goes. This one, the NVNI down here on the bottom, I don't want to hold. I'm not going to be adding to it. If it doesn't go, I'll probably cut it. Or if it moves down, I'll definitely cut it. I don't want to hang out with these, the ones that don't have volume. Like you can see when I got in, there was a surge in volume. That should, in theory, just carry it straight up. Just like, what was it? Whatever one we were watching pre-market. DVLT, I think. How did that one work out, by the way? That one, oh yeah, it came shy. So it didn't quite hit our target, but it went more than halfway, and that's good enough. We would have locked some profits somewhere along the way there. That's a 9% run plus, about 10%. So plenty of potential on that one. NVNI, I might just cut this one. It's getting a little bit of support here, but I don't want to hold it below that wick right there. So just erase this box, turn this to red, and then I'll set up a bracket here on this one. Close position. What is that? 87 cents? I can't see because the thing's in the way. 90. I'll do 97 cents on that one. 0.97 and then 114 for my take profit. So now I have a bracket set up, and then I don't really have to care too much about what happens to this one. I can just watch it. LAWR. Yeah, I like it, but I don't. It's not one that I'm willing to risk money on. It's got this meandering trend, which is great, which tells me I have to go up to a higher time frame. But then we get up here and it's just Wick City, So it's got strength. It just doesn't have clear direction to the degree that I like, personally. So it's a good one to watch, good one to study. I'm just not trading it myself. And then, of course, we got AERT as well, just chilling. PBM, yet again, trying to just, it wants to do something, but it's got to clear out. It's got to get just another surge in volume and just blast. So we're kind of just hanging out. Let me drink some more Monster. Delicious. All right. And again, if NVNI pulls down, I'm okay with it. It's if we really just want to look at this really quick, it's like 8.5% down, and I'm only down 40 cents for the day because I've already locked in profit on this one. So I'm okay giving it a little bit more tolerance, but I don't want to. I don't want to let it go all the way down to like 75 cents. That'd be silly. Also, let me make sure this is unchecked. And we hang out. I've got to get a better chair. this chair. So now we hang out. All right, so we're pushing down a little bit more aggressively on the AERT, and that's okay. Now we watch and see if we get a buy up. Crispy, I can't drink Red Bull, man. I don't know. I don't like battery acid. To each their own, but I don't know. I mean, neither of our kidneys like this, you know. You get your white monster. That's the orange one, right? I think that one and this blue one, the low sugar one or low carbs, the only ones I drink. I don't drink the green ones. I don't like battery acid. Yeah, it tastes like medicine, kind of. Sponsors don't normally let you drink the competition. I mean, it seems like they should. And then if you still default to the other one, then it's accurate, you know. Yeah, that's why I got this this one right here, this low carb blue guy. I don't know. One of the kids gets all like the goofy flavor ones. I can't do it. And then she just leaves them in the fridge instead of bringing them like to school. Drink plenty of water, young man. I've actually drank my entire lifetime's worth of water. I'm caught up. I'm just kidding. I hit my quota. They all taste like Windex. I could see it. But now, how do you know what Windex tastes like? Don't ask. Okay, fair enough. A little post nasal. It's hanging out with me. Should I have Mr. Yuck stickers as a kid? I don't know. All right, we're back to our paint drying special. So what's everyone else's plans for the day after we do our live stream and after we are done trading for the day? What is everyone up to? School and blood tests. Are you going to phlebotomy school? Did we just combine like terms? JWAG says drink. Yes, you're in North England, sir. You got that tour to complete. Mama didn't raise no quitter. Working out my throwing arm. Okay. Football, baseball, discus. Are you a disc throw for the Olympics? Mr. OG. Woodworking. Okay. That's pretty. Are you doing carpentry and joinery, or are you doing finishing work? And what's your thing, man? Tell me about yourself. I'm going to organize my garage and plan for open house showing. Oh, you selling your house? It's always a fun and stressful time. Death Gun, I'm a game design major, but it's for my psychologist. Cool. All right. How many more years do you have for your game design major, by the way? I can't remember. And do you plan to go work for like Bethesda? I would avoid Blizzard at all costs. Everybody that I know that has been in that industry has absolutely hated Blizzard, like no matter what area they were in. I've been friends with people that were in their sales, global marketing, game design, character design, like their art departments and their programming as well for the game mechanisms and their just like various areas of development. Even manufacturing like their merch, like their physical merch, and it's just terrible. Like something is happening at Blizzard, and it has been for a very long time. I always feel like my friend Derek, he was an artist, and he was doing commissions and all that for a very long time. He got a job doing, let's see, it was Hearthstone, and then he was making characters for a couple of their games, and he was super excited and super proud. And then he just hated it. And they messed him over so hard repeatedly. It was horrible. And it sucks, because I got to watch this guy who was insanely good at art. Like, he did photorealism, and then he just like hated life because like his, it looks like NVNI hit something. Did that go up or down? It looks like it pulled down. Okay. And that's what stop losses are for. We get in, we get out. That one just pulled down a little bit. And I'm not going to add it. I'm not going to get back into that one. It just broke out of the range in the direction I didn't want it to go. So we're out of that one. Just had my PBM and AERT, just hanging out. But yeah, so it was rough to watch someone like, he's a good person. So watching him like just get completely demolished and lose interest in something that he had so much passion about was kind of crappy, all over like corporate stuff, So I just went super far off. David will be throwing computers for the rest of the day. Okay. That's fair. That's your throwing arm. Mac Half Def, I'm dating a chick on the local college soccer team now, so probably coming up with an excuse to not go to the game. Oh, hope she's not watching the stream, buddy. Better hope she doesn't follow you around. Just started all four. Okay. Well, good luck, man. It's a great industry. You just got to make sure that you avoid the stick pits, I guess. Oh, your real estate. Oh, yeah, that's right. My brain just shut off. The real estate agent. Okay. That's good stuff. Mr. OG2, I make custom countertops, tables, cutting boards, and more. That is good stuff. So bigger surfaces. Beautiful. Okay. Interesting. Bethesda Nod Dog. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, bureaucracy, baby. Absolutely. It's horrible. Charlie got fed up with AERT, cut it loose when it dunked. Late, but I was giving it a chance, but overall green for the day. First sell made green, of course. Lost out on the stop, but not enough to make me red. That is beautiful, Charlie. So are you done for the day? Are you walking away with a net profit on the day? Death Gun, I don't really have an idea of what I'm going to do. I'm hoping to go indie with my friend, but end all be all, I'll go with something VR based. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the future of gaming, in my opinion. It's a lot of, there's a lot of enterprise applications for VR, anywhere from military all the way down to like mechanics. They got the augmented reality stuff. I've literally watched mechanics pull up like a YouTube video for a specific car that they have to work on, so they don't have to go look at manuals and stuff. They could just leave the headset on, boop, 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 done, and then they can just do the repair right there. It's pretty cool. Their own TVs. He's turning into a catapult. He's a human catapult hybrid, or trebuchet, I guess. That's his name. It's John Trebuchet. He's Canadian. Oh, there you go. Look at you guys networking. I feel like a parent at a party. Look at you guys making friends on the playground. Spending the day planning another cruise. All right, where are we going? East Coast, West Coast? Where are we going? We're going up to Alaska. Check out the eagles and the whales. Maybe see a narwhal. No, wait, are narwhals on that side, or are they over on the east side? Probably both. Anything really? Take a peek at my social sometime. Your dad's would. Clever branding, sir. Yeah, surgical training. Absolutely. High risk scalping APVO. That was a while ago that you wrote that, so don't take my words for it. You can see it. Yeah, exactly. And like iSurge, ISRG, they've already got the AI integration into automated surgery. Like, they're way ahead of the curve. It's awesome. Now, is the market going to appreciate that for a while? We don't know. But company-wise, that's solid. And practical application-wise, that's amazing. I thought it was cool when they had lights that could show you veins. Like, it's medicine advances very rapidly. Actually, let's do this for really housewarming gifts. There you go. Let's good stuff. You guys going back to the Bahamas? Ooh, all right. You get a favorite island? He's gonna throw coconuts at the locals. Yeah, like that. Or no, it was Hawaii with the South Park episode where they just take over the just start treating the locals like crap. That's horrible. Yeah, I think you guys are both in the you guys, yeah, you're both in the military group. So Mr. OG's Navy, Crispy's Marine, and I'm or no, Army. Just, dude, I'm getting all mixed up today. My bad, dude. I did not mean to insult you by calling you a Marine. My bad. 12 Bravo, right? No, 11 Bravo. 13 Bravo. Damn it. I knew it was Bravo. The boom boom. Yeah. That's why I need Monster, guys. I'm out of it. I cannot remember anything. No Monster. I need my jet fuel. All right, so let's check out. Yeah, ATNB, just look at it. You can't trade stuff like this, guys. It's just flat. There's nothing you can do on that. Ooh, I do like APVO. It just needs volume. Like that's the name of the game. Like yesterday and today, the only thing that's needed for, I would say, the top 6 here, top 7, is just volume. Whichever one gets the volume will get the big move. These are all primed for takeoff except for maybe ORBS, right? There's just too much bearish impulse on these when it pulls back. So this is sketchy. It's scary, right? So you can do the trend line thing. You can do MAs and all that good stuff, and you can manage your risk and still trade these when the volume's there. But you've got a big half pipe right here in volume. So when that volume falls off, you get these big red moves, and it only takes like 2 or 3 of those to give all this back, and that's not fun. So it's just like today, whenever I say it's like sparse volume pre-market, those are days where it's just kind of, you're going to be sitting in stuff for a while in a lot of cases, unless you're just getting in and out. When you can find that volume like in the moment. So it's kind of crappy, but that's the market we have to deal with, especially in September. And that's where things get a little bit frustrating for a lot of people, is they don't have the time, or they don't want to focus, or the brain needs resolution. And when there's uncertainty in the mix, it gets very stressful and we make impulsive choices. So if I did not have a higher risk tolerance, I would not be trading on a day like today or yesterday. Paradise Island off Nassau for a little shopping. Ooh, okay. You're addicted to cruises? I think there's quite a few people in here that would also enjoy the cruise life. Do you typically just go tropical, or do you go all the way up into like the north? I guess I was trying to find like a term that would accommodate both the like Nova Scotia and then also like Alaskan coast. So it didn't work out so good. More Monster. I was thinking of what are the tropics? What's the northern tropic? It's Capricorn? Cancer. Tropic of Cancer. My bad. And it was one of those two. Right there. Tropic. That's what I was thinking of. But anyway, it's a monster day. Top's looking for 243 to break on APVO. It looks like it's hanging out just below that. Yeah, I like it. Higher high, higher low, all that good stuff. It's just got to get that volume. So, they're definitely primed. It's just a matter of which one's going to get the attention first. And then, of course, when one gets volume, its siblings tend to get volume. There's going to be a few tickers that are adjacent. That's typically what we see. And that's all I really care to watch for. I have to get ready for psych class. Stop loss is hit out anyway. Good luck, y'all. Well, thank you. I'm glad you were able to hang out as much as you could. I know it's a little slow right now. The market has slowed down. And that's why I'm not just going from ticker to ticker to ticker, because that's not what you want to do on a day like today. Alter IQ, a Craniator in our midst. We have a couple Marines in here. Let me see how many Marines we have in the server. Most of us are Army. But it's not like a veteran Discord. We just have a veteran section in the Discord. We got 15 Marines. We got 42 Army. We got 16 Navy, 12 Air Force, and nobody in the Space Force. And let me check Coast Guard. I think there was 6 or 9. I'm going to type something else for that. 2, my bad. Just 2. I was misled. I was lied to. I was given bad information. It was horrible. Yeah, so I wanted to make sure we had a section for service members and their families, foreign and domestic, not North Korea, not any of the bad guys, quote unquote, but you know, just separate from everything else. And no matter where you go, if you have access to Discord, you can all hang out and talk crap and share stories and, you know, ask for support and stuff too. It's completely separate from membership and all that. But I wanted to make sure that it's just there, you know. Families are tough, and I know uprooting a lot can suck, can destabilize like kids, and it's hard to find resources if you're like new to a base or something. So we got a couple of recruits going in, and they're out right now because they're getting messed up, which is always fun. But if I know they're shipping, then I'll give them the roll ahead of time. We'll check in with them every now and then. Tell them not to do anything goofy while they're there. Hey, thanks, guys. It was fun. But I didn't get any deployments or anything, so these guys that did definitely get more status and all that. Jay, yeah. I was a cadet in Her Majesty's Royal Green Jackets. Is that a soccer/football? I'm not familiar with the Green Jackets. Is that sports ball? NBA, yeah. So we're just kind of hanging out. There's this one is. It looks like it did push, but I'm not getting back into this one. There's just it's okay to just let it go. I took my small risk, and that's all. LAWR is pulling back down. Let's see, NVNI. It might push, but again, I took my one chance on it. I'm not gonna do the thing. We kind of called out this zone. The zone held. I saw a confirmation out of the zone, and it happened to just get outvoted, and that's the market. So my job is to cut that risk and not take too many attempts at the stuff that bites me. So that is what I'm good at. APVO looks like it's curling up a little bit as well, but he's got to push, right? No clear, no trade. Because if we trade it like here, for example, first off, if we're buying a red candle, we're anticipating, and then the price is likely in all cases, but the very bottom, right? If you think about it logically, if we do a red candle right here, if we buy it right here, and it's a red candle, and this isn't the absolute bottom, the price will go lower, right? That's just how it logically works. So if you bought anywhere along this red candle here, and the price went lower, you would have a lower price, and you'd immediately have drawdown, right? The same is true with a bullish candle. If you don't buy the absolute top, and let's say you buy it somewhere around here, if the high of that candle is anywhere higher than where you bought, you will have a profit exposure, right? So you'll be in profitable territory. Now, it's not to say that sometimes you can't buy the high of a bullish candle and then it pulls down, or that you can't buy here, it pulls down, then goes back up, right? That's the nature of price action. But if you're trying to buy stuff as it's moving in the direction it's going to make you money, it makes no sense to buy something when it's going the opposite way. That's just counterproductive. And that's where people tend to hurt themselves. So that's why I always buy on a bullish candle in most cases. I said always, and then in most cases, I know it's a conflict there, but I almost always buy when the price is pushing up over something else, because it makes sense. And that's where we stop a lot of that bleeding, is just by not buying into an aggressive sell-off. And if you look at almost every major push in either direction, you're going to see some sort of sizable candle in that same direction at the beginning of it. So it just doesn't make sense to buy counter candles if you want the price to go in one direction and get in and out along that trade. So that's why if I pull something up and it's a red candle, I just wait. Like there's a little part of my brain says, nope, not yet. We're just going to hang out, unless I'm actively trying to trade a bounce or something like that. So with this one, we identified the high, we identified the range at which it broke away from as a springboard, and then we said, okay, well, we can wait for a pullback to around this zone, and we've got this zone down here. I erased the earlier box; it was right here on this candle. For those that remember. And then we had a gray box here. Remember this one, the little dashed box? We said, oh, it's gonna, maybe here, maybe not, and it just pushed right through that. So we erased that one pretty quickly. But the price blasted out of this zone before, so we can use it as an area of high potential. And then if we see a breakout again, right, which is why I drew these lines, then we can see a move like this out of that area. It's just a matter of which one of these breakout attempts it's going to be and how long you're willing to endure drawdown if it does occur, before you recognize that it's not worth the risk of still making that move. So we want a smaller risk and a bigger reward potential. And that's as complicated as trading ever needs to be. So if you just find a stock that's got to move, let's grab AERT, for example. That's all I've done here. Let me just make this bigger, right? We had this kind of sizable range here where the price broke out, and I can make it even smaller. I could say this level right here. That kind of be my strong board, if you will. Now I got a substantial move away from that level. So when the price comes back to it, all I have to do is wait for another push off that area if it wants to. And if it wants to go down, I just don't get in. Now, in this case, I'm already in, and I got in. I placed 2 buys because I bought, sold, and then bought again. So I'm okay, right? I'm still going to be decent because that'll be offset. But that's kind of all I do on these morning streams, is I just look for areas where the price is blasted away from, where it's got substantial potential, and then I just get in when it makes sense to get in. So in this one, in this case specifically, this was a pullback, right? It's a push pull push, right? So we pushed with strength, we pulled back. I got in just before the breakout. I think I tried to get filled right here, but it pulled back a little bit as I was getting filled. So I got a cent or two lower than I wanted, and that's okay. It's good. It helps me out. And then the price did in fact push, and I didn't lock my profit at whatever 8%, like I normally would. And now I'm dealing with some drawdown, and that's okay too, right? So right here, for example, we just got another sizable candle. Okay, clean break, sizable candle, low volume. So it's going to be weaker. So I'm going to make this outline dashed, right? So in theory, the price should come back here, test, and then push up to a new high, which should be around this 535 one. And we'll see if that's what we get. Otherwise, if it just wants to go through that level and form a new low, we can do that too. All I need is a plan, and then it's just a matter of waiting for, that area of potential to be realized. So basically, I'm just following around these little, I'm trying to think of a good analogy here. It would be like following armored trucks around a town, right? I just need to know where the banks are. Okay. And these guys are sloppy because every time they deliver money to a bank, they drop a bunch of it all over the street. I can see where that is, and I can just say, oh, I'm going to go hang out near that bank next time, right? Knowing that these guys are sloppy, they don't close the back of the door. They just let the money fly out the back, and I can see exactly where they're coming from. So that's all we're doing with this. I'm just looking for areas where there's potential, and I'm just getting it when that truck starts to pull away. I don't need to rob the truck because that's what's going to get me hurt. I just need to go behind them and scoop up all that money. Does that make sense? Sorry, Alter IQ popping out, learned a lot, and we'll be visiting again to retain it. Very new, so mostly gibberish still, but eventually. Yeah, no, I definitely ramble a lot. It's because of this stuff, the monster. But I'm glad you're able to hang out. I don't know how long you wrote that 4 minutes ago, so you're probably already gone. But if you're watching the recording, thanks for hanging out, and I look forward to seeing you. SPY. Let's look at SPY. This stuff applies to SPY as well, right? So you've got a push there. You've got a push here. You've got a push out of this zone. This is a stronger one, right? Because it forms a pivot. So let's see here. What else do we got? We got kind of this guy. So we got kind of a cluster here. Plus, if you look left, right, it automatically kind of, it already kind of holds as a level, right? So if this is what we saw in the market, we can say, okay, we've got a level here that resulted in a stronger push. Now, I would probably go, like, I don't really like these intermediary ones. I really like the top ones. So you can even just use this pivot. And you can say, okay, well, the big move, right? If I zoom in here, the bigger move kind of pushed out of this range right here, right? And then we went all the way down to here. And then we kind of found a support temporarily, and you can draw that as well. And I'm going to get rid of this one for now. And then we kind of, we kind of bounced a couple of times, then it fell through. Okay, so that's not a good quality level, but it is still a pivot, and it's still a level that held. Then we came all the way down here, and then we formed this, right? And we got another substantial move to the upside, and it failed to make a new high, failed to break over local high. Okay, then we pulled down, we formed another pivot. I can erase this one. That's kind of irrelevant, but it I'll put a dash line on it so we can still recognize it. It gets an honorary mention, okay? And that kind of sustained this move, which is just a fib retrace, right? If I draw that, that's a fib retrace right there, that yellow box. And then we get stronger continuation to the upside, all the way back up to this, where this initial strong move started. So now we had a rejection opportunity if it falls down, or we get continuation for a break up to a different area where the price has shot down violently from. Now, I don't have anything reliable up here to use, which tells me I have to go to a higher time frame. So let me kick it up to the 3-minute. I got this guy right here. This is clean. That's nice. Now let me kick it up to the 5-minute. See what else I got. Do I have anything else up here that's cleaner? Go up to the 15-minute. Is this an all-time high? Who knows? I'd have to go back a little ways here. And you don't necessarily need to go all the way back, but I don't see anything up here, right? So I think we're in price discovery mode. So if we go maybe to like the 15-minute, 30 minutes, really good for identifying these things as well. We get this guy right here, which kind of started that move. But again, I just like to go to the initial big candle. Sorry, the camera's probably covering that. That initial big candle, that pushed down. It did a clean retest of that zone and then just absolutely slammed to the downside pre-market. And then it came all the way down here, and then it slammed all the way back up. So this right here would be the area that I would personally be watching for rejection to the downside. So if I come up here, if I'm looking for a put, we've got potential to at least slam below this guy right here. Okay. Now I'm not going to be trading this, obviously, but this is where the shorts are going to be looking for a trade. And then, of course, you've got the longer potential down to any one of these. And at that point, you're in profit-taking mode, and you got to figure out what the best approach there is. Now, this is also still a bearish impulse. So that means that we can use our fib retracement and draw a box right here, and then probably just erase a bunch of the other boxes. We don't need all these boxes on the chart. Because you could very easily justify just about any level by saying, oh, look, it's got value, right? Doesn't matter. Let me just make this one that. And so from this green to that red, or sorry, that yellow to green, that would be the trade setup in my opinion. And then we've got a couple little pivots along the way that we can look for. Does that mean it's going to go all the way down here? No, absolutely not. Does it mean there's potential for it to hit this low and or fall into a deeper retrace, into a healthy retrace? Absolutely. But, it's potential. Okay. And that's where you take the risk, you manage the risk. If you don't want to take the risk, just watch it and study it. But would we go bullish here? No, not in my opinion, because you've got so many reasons and so many pieces of evidence that point out why the stock, had a violent move to the downside from this area. Why would you go try to rob that bank while the armored truck is there with all the armed guards? Wait for them to break. Wait for them to go away. So we'll watch SPY here really quick, and we'll see what it does. You know, it does show a lot of strength into this area, and it has a history at this area of being bearish with violence. So we're going to watch this little fight take place, and then we just got to pick the winner. You know, after they win, not while they're fighting. And then that's it. So far, you could very easily justify this and say, okay, well, I've got a confirmation out of the zone. I've got a bearish trade. Now, again, I'm not trading any of this stuff. I can't trade SPY on this account when I've used all my settled cash for the day. But you could very easily make a case for a trade to the downside out of that zone based on that candle and use that candle's high or the pivot even as your stop loss. So let's watch and see what happens. I'm not trying to predict anything. I'm just saying one of two things will happen. It's either going to go up or it's going to go down, right? And right here on a micro level, okay, this is on the 1 minute time frame, and this only exists on the 1 minute time frame on this chart. You've got another one of these kind of weaker levels right here. So it may bounce off of that, might see some friction there, who knows? But it's worth identifying because that's where that continuation push came from. So limit sell was set at $1 for 75% of my position. Still got 1,000 shares. Average was 33 cents. You're talking about NBNI? That's crazy. So you got that one way down there. True. When did you get that? That would have been like back in July. Jeez, good stuff, man. Beautiful trade. Hasn't quite pushed over the high. Still has potential to, but that's crazy. Good stuff, man. Both of you guys. Does this make sense though? Like, this is a fundamental concept of price movement, as you're just looking to see where the price moved from with intent. And the way you can do that is just back out. Like, one of the easiest ways to do this is literally just back out so that you can see, and ideally you go to higher time frames so you get stronger levels, and then you just look for the pivots. You just look and see. Actually, let me turn the camera off and I'll zoom in on this, and we can do kind of a John Madden style drawing session. I'm also going to close that out. Yeah, let me turn that camera off and I'll show you guys. Okay, so we're going to cover up SPY and all that. So basically what I'm looking for is, I don't care about all this stuff. This is kind of garbage. I mean, it works, but you'd have to go to higher time frames to assess those levels. But what I'm looking for right now would be these pivots. Okay, where does the price turn around? Specifically, where do the big moves come from, right? So I'm just looking at these levels, this level, you know, kind of this level, definitely that level. And then I'm just looking at each of these levels and I'm assessing the intensity at which the price left that area. So if I zoom in here, right, I can see a big candle here, but it's not really at a pivot. So I can kind of ignore that one. I do see a big candle right here and it's coming out of a pivot. So this one is strong. Okay, so I can draw a box right here. And I could say, all right, I'm going to use this box as a support. Oops. And oh my God, I keep forgetting what tool I'm using here. And then I guess I can't reshape it. But you can see the price kind of ran into some friction here at this level, right? And then you can say, okay, well, here's a pivot, but I don't see any strong move out of there to the upside. It's not a reversal pivot. It's a continuation pivot. It's just a little pullback. And then you got one here as well. Like, it's just kind of blah, right? There's nothing substantial with continued movement there. It does bounce a little bit, and that's great. You know, you can still draw it, but it's not going to do much, right? It's going to be a pass through. It's a transient level, right? So let's draw it. Same here. You get another big bounce off that zone, but it doesn't really go anywhere, right? Then you've got this move here to the downside, and you've got a pivot right here and a strong move to the downside. So that's awesome. We like that. We can look at that. So then just drawing that zone out, you've got kind of a level right there. Price moves violently down, violently back up, and then violently back down, and then violently back up. So there's a lot of potential here out of this range. Does that make sense? And then down here as well, you've got a big move to the upside from this zone, right? 1, 2, 3 very large candles. That's a huge area with a lot of strength because it's pushing the price away with violence. And then the price came back, retested, and got an even more violent move all the way up here to this zone. Okay. So we're just looking at structure as a process rather than a set of, levels specifically. You're looking at zones that act like magnets. And you can see we're pretty easily pushing through this zone so far, which is why we don't really care too much about those continuation levels. They don't really matter that much. They're good opportunities for like secondary entries in that direction, not so much for reversals. Doesn't say they won't happen, but that's less common. All right, so the only areas that I would care about for SPY on this, the 1 minute time frame, like right now in this moment, would be this one up here and this one down here. And then you've kind of got this transient level around here. But we want to have our profit area right before that so we're not fighting it in case it tries to bounce and go all over the place. Remember that transient level's right here. Does that all make sense? I know I kind of walked through it faster, but but we're just looking for areas of violence and areas of breakout. And we take our profits right before those. JWAG says it does make sense. Awesome. That's good stuff. That's all I want to hear. I'm just kidding. I want to hear the bad stuff too. So if it doesn't make sense, let me know, because I know what it's like to be sitting there and having somebody explain something, and then being like, well, yeah, I get it. We look for confirmation, right? Or we look for structure or support and resistance, and then it'll make sense when you're watching the stream, and then when you go to apply it on your own charts, it's very difficult because you don't have that specific thing that you were looking for. Like the hiccups that I now have, and they're gone. Sorry. And this is SPY. This is something that a lot of traders struggle with. I personally don't like trading SPY if I'm on a small account, but I love it on my other accounts because it can be insanely profitable as long as you use responsible position sizes and you wait. You have to be patient with SPY. A move can go in your direction, like this move right here. If we got a farther out contract and it just never picked up volume, you could still lose all your money on it. Even though you were right, your technical analysis was spot on. You had a good risk reward ratio. What's the ratio on this one? This is 3.5. It's a 1 to 3.5. I didn't do that on purpose, but that's just what it was. And we almost hit the target, but you can still lose money on the contract just if it doesn't do it efficiently enough, And that's why you got to look for those areas of violence so that you can say, okay, well, am I getting a reversal here or am I getting continuation? So for this level right here, you got substantial moves out of there, right? And if I just zoom in, I take another picture of that. If I just look at these, okay, you can see you've got a decent size move, and then I probably should use a different shape for that. You've got a decent size move, and then you've got a decent size move. This is effectively just an inverted head and shoulders, but that's where the concept comes from. You're just looking at a level, the neckline, that shows strength, and then when the neckline breaks, that's where you get your potential move from. Or if the neckline holds, you've got your rejection zone. Does that make sense? But it all stems around this specific area, and you've identified that because of what it has to offer. Okay. So let me change this back to green. And I made that very messy and very complicated, but you guys get the idea. Yeah, and the SPY Playmaker that Porter just put in there as well, like that is crisp. They're not scalps. They're not, low float trash. It's SPY. It's got to be planned out. You have to be patient with them, but it doesn't take a lot of effort or time because you're just looking for things to hit certain zones, and then you're just watching the way they leave the zone. Kind of similar to how we're doing it here. I know, so let me check something real fast. All right, I like it. So really quick, in the chat, I want you guys to put a number in the chat. How many dollars do you think I still have in settled cash on this account? JWAG says $2. Okay, keep them coming. And there we go. We would have hit our target right there. And remember, this is it's a continuation level. It's transient. There's no, you can see we had a little bounce there, right? Did we have any of that price information before? Like when I drew that box, it was here. I didn't know anything was going to happen here. I had no access to that future information. We came down, we happened to see a little bit of stickiness and then continued right through it. Okay. Now we have our land of milk and honey down here, right? This is where we want to get to for the bigger profit, but this would be a lock most of the shares, most of the contracts profit zone because of that potential stickiness and the potential for a reversal. Okay. So primary target, secondary target. $1 million. Not on this one. No, I don't think so. Loki says $3. David is still throwing his computer. Make sure you twist with your knees and your back. And if you hold your breath, your body will produce its own oxygen. That's not medical advice. Please don't hurt yourself. And there's only two challenges with using a strategy like this. A, you have to know when to stop out, right? And B, you have to know when to take profits. So it's the same problem, and you just have to figure out when you want to exit the position. And that's always the hardest part. Getting into stuff is very easy. It's not always simple, but it's always easy because we want to get into stuff, okay? We don't want to make things real, so we have a hard time getting out of stuff. And that's where recognizing stop losses, obeying stop losses, securing achievable, consistent profits, all that can be very difficult. And that's just because of psychology. That's why I want you guys to all just focus on psychology more than your analysis. The analysis part is very simple. There's a million strategies out there. A bunch of them work. It doesn't take a whole lot. So you just have to live in the reality that the market gives you. And that's as hard as it ever really has to be. And I think, I know I say it a lot, but the ones that figure it out kind of giggle when they look back and see how seriously they've been taking it, because it's like drowning in shallow water. All you got to do is stand up. And I know it sounds like super slap in the face ish to hear, because I was there. Trust me, I get it. But that's really all it takes. You just have to stop struggling so much and recognize that a lot of the struggle comes from trying to predict and living in denial. CDLX, look at that. All right, so I got some guesses in the chat for $2, $1 million, or $3. You guys want to know what the number is? I think you're going to like it. I still have almost $21 in settled cash, which means I've used just over half my portfolio. For today. So this one's still in the box. This one's kind of hanging out, still between these ranges. And I'm willing to add some more to this one if I have to, but I want it to be farther down if I'm going to, right? Just like SPY, I want it to come down to my area of potential and then show me a sign of strength. I don't want it to be puttering around sideways. ETNB is still trash. I kind of like this one. All right, so what's the first step? I need to find areas, right? I've got an area up here, and I've got an area down here. That's on the daily time frame, right? Got an area down here, and I've got an area down here. And this one is transient. It's a pass-through because it's a continuation, right? So yes, we didn't get a huge move out of that zone, but it's continuation. So I wouldn't hold that one. What I would like to see is a push down to this zone and then a push up for a new high, if anything. So it might not happen today. It might not happen ever. But that's what I have for the bigger levels. So now I can come down here and I can look at like the 15-minute chart. Do I see anything I can trade? No. I see a huge push and then a halt that gapped up. 5-minute chart, I see a bigger pullback, but it's a violent candle and I don't like that. I can't do anything with that. 3-minute, I'm seeing some indecision up here. I'm seeing some stickiness and we're about to hit that level up here on the daily chart. So this is a no-go for me at the moment. 1 minute, what do I see? I see an area down here. It's a continuation level. So it's got a decent sized candle. I got another one right here. Can't really do a whole lot with these until I see some signs of life, right? Now I could trade this from here to there, 15%, but it's pretty sticky up here, right? I'm seeing a lot of wicks I don't like, so I can always just choose to pass on this one. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Bleh. I like it though. Or yes. I kind of jokingly drew this trend line earlier, and it's just going. it's still being a trend line. But another cool demonstration. Look, let me just erase this line, and I'll show you guys. You know, and this isn't confirmation bias. I'm telling you, look at every larger candle near a pivot on these stocks. Like you got this one right here. You know, the candle before the large candle. Draw it out. See where it goes. You got a pivot here, and there's no significant move out of it. There's just kind of those. Then you got this guy right here, right? And then let's see, you got a pull down here. So maybe we could draw this one. It's kind of a bigger range, but it's okay. Then you've got this guy right here, right? Because you get this guy and then a push up, and then you've got this guy up here. Okay. So what can we do with this information? And I chose not to go beyond this point right here because I want to draw the levels based on what we would see in the moment, right? So this is what we see at this point in time when we draw these 4 boxes, okay? Each one of these has a large candle protruding out from it. 3 of them are to the upside, 1 is to the downside, okay? So now if we walk forward in time, what we can see is that the price hangs out in this one, right? Bounces inside of it, and it had a violent move to the downside, and then a violent push to the upside, and it pushed through this transient level, right? Up into this one, which is potential reversal. And then let's see if it's going to break up or down. Now this should be a transient level, right? And now it can go one of 3 directions, up, down, or sideways, right? So now we would want to see a retest of this zone from the top or continuation because it's it'd be a continuation zone. So we'll have to wait and see if we get that pullback, and then I could trade like 1 share. I'm not going to, but that'd be an easy way to kind of trade that breakout. You add like 1 share on the breakout, and then another one on the retest with continuation, or you stop out on the first share if it doesn't. Okay, but you can see even this one here, if I highlight this one, you can see the price pushed, came back, tested it, and then pushed. This one here, the price pushed, got really sticky right here, and then finally broke to the upside, and now it's kind of figuring out what it wants to do. So it's in indecision mode. So no guarantees on that one. Let's see, CLDX, it's kind of pulling down. Now this is a transient level, so I don't want to jump into this one. You know, we could, it'd be high risk and all that, but there's no major advantage in jumping into this candle right here, the one that's currently forming, because we've got these 2 kind of continuation levels. Now this one's stronger because it's at a pivot. It's a very short-term pivot, but either way, this is still a very shallow retrace. So if I draw the retrace on that, you know, even the fib zone is down here. So this one, right? The original fib, even that was shallow. So there's just nothing I want to jump into at this point in time on that one. So what I'm expecting is a push down to here, and then either seeing some friction or a reversal at that zone. Otherwise, if it breaks down, we're coming all the way back down below, you know, like $1.80, $1.70 potentially. Now that's my thesis. Now I have to watch and actually see if it's going to happen. Oh, how's SPY doing, by the way? Look at that. So we hit our target zone. So that would be target area 2. And then if we want to, right, this is a transient level and it has strength to the downside, we could always aim for a push below on some runners if we wanted to, but we've hit 2 targets on this one if we were to trade those puts relatively easily, and we identified an area of potential value to focus on. So in this case, that would have been a pretty decent trade in my opinion, depending on the contract you got and obviously your fill, right? And that's where like Spy Playmaker Pro, again, they do all that for you. It's Austin. He picks all that stuff and then Porter writes it out for everybody so it's clear. So we did the hard work in the day, right? We went to the 1 minute time frame and you know, we plotted levels in the moment that we thought might have value. He's already done all that stuff for the week. So that's why I like that a lot better. Sorry, I gotta go back here. Let me just close out this tool. Does this concept make sense? Like we're just looking for magnets, effectively. We're just looking for magnets that repel. All right. So again, we shouldn't have any problems coming down through this area. In my opinion, this is a transient level. Now this whole candle here wants to act as a support. So we'd probably see some stickiness, but this should fail in most cases. If it doesn't, that means that the price is behaving abnormally, which is where Pookie starts to get confused. And then I just stop trading it. So there's potential for it to push up here, but it shouldn't according to the mechanisms of the market. So we'll see what it does. But I don't see a lot of justification for algos piling into this one just yet. They're more likely to do it down here just above 2. And there's also a temptation here to fill this gap from the halt. So we'll see. It's just a push pull at this point. Whoever's going to win, I have no idea. But it's not in an area that I would determine to be worth taking a risk on just yet. Okay. So what I would encourage everyone to do is to practice this. Go find a chart, any chart. It could be Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, anything that you can read. I don't recommend anything that's like super garbagey like this. You can't plot that. But just go try it out. Find your pivots. Find big candles that move away from those pivots and just draw a box. Like this one right here, for example. I drew this box, this specific yellow one, because of the larger, disproportionately larger candles that left that area. Okay, that's an area of value. It's an area of violence. And then price came down and held and respected that level for a very long time. Multiple attempts were made, and it eventually just kind of held. And that tells me that's a good enough, strong enough level. Now I can't, and I don't want to add any more to this level. And there's no guarantee it's going to continue holding, but at least it held so far, and that's all I need. PPM as well. I drew these boxes based on what I see protruding out of them, and I got another one right here. Now there's just no volume on this one. You can see the candles are kind of, they're turning into garbage. So I might end up cutting this one. But ideally, you know, we would have seen this one come back down here to below 450, and then a violent bounce off of that would be pretty nice, but we can't always get what we want. BREA, I'd like this one, but I also hate it. It always halts. It always just shows up out of nowhere and just pumps and then dumps off. ADAP, 11-cent stock. Oh, I like it. We already got some levels drawn on this one. Look at that. I don't know where these levels are from. I don't know what day they would be from. Maybe the daily. I don't know. But we definitely like this one, or I do. That is a beautiful. Yeah, look at that. Broke right out of that range. Whew. That's delicious. I have no idea what time frame I was drawing those on, and that's okay. You can always start fresh, right? So I go up here to the daily time frame. Obviously, we've got a continuation pivot right here. I could draw the level. That's a high to break. That's a high to break. That's a high to break. What I see is a zone right here. It's a transient level, right? Got a level right here, which this is kind of big. It's kind of meh. So I'm going to draw a dashed line there. And then obviously the big one is going to be up here. Right now, I don't think we're going to see a full gap fill on the day, but who knows with ADAP. So then I come down to the 15-minute. What do I see? I see an area right here, right before a abnormally large candle. And that'll be kind of my golden zone. This is the one that I absolutely want to see tested. And I come down to the 1 minute, or maybe the 3 minute. I'll come down to the 3 minute. See, is there anything here that I can use to really hone in on that level? You know, I kind of got one here. I'm going to draw that one. I like that one. And come down to the 1 minute, see if there's anything else I can use. It just kind of looked like it pushed. You know, I can scalp it intra-candle if I want to, but kind of just want to let it cool off a little bit. Now, I've also got a level right here that is red, right? This one just kind of, if you look, you got your kind of magnet candle, and then you got the violent move to the downside, came up, retested, violently rejected, went all the way down almost to this zone here that we identified on a higher time frame, and then it kind of puttered around and then it broke violently to the upside. You see that? Like it got sticky here. Attempted and failed the break to the downside, and then the bulls just swept it up, and there it is. So nice clean break. So I like it. Are you in that one, Top? That was a good find. These little biotechs get insane. Now there is a lot of shares on this one. It's a 263 million share ticker. There's been a lot of dilution on that one. And if we look at the corporate actions, I'm sure we're going to see some splits. Oh, no, I guess not. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. But either way, it's pretty heavily diluted. So it requires a lot of volume. These are 4 million, 5 million volume candles on the 1 minute. So 4 and 5 million shares. But granted, it's an 11-cent stock. That still adds up and it moves the price, but it requires that much volume. So when the volume falls off and you've got 30K, 80K, that's not a lot. It's not enough to move the price with intent. So this is one where, you know, when the volume is here, you guys can see this volume and this volume. That's when the price moves. That's kind of what we need on stocks like that. And that's where you don't want to get stuck out in the desert when everyone leaves, because they're all taking their water, you know. So let's see if we get some opportunity. There's always going to be like a little FOMO bounce or a fib retrace or something like that. You know, people are always going to chase this, and algos are going to be there to chase the people, and vice versa. I probably won't trade this one. Full disclosure. I could see the potential, but I don't really like it. Not yet. So let me just draw that box for that fib retrace. And then I'll just erase the actual retrace. So this is going to be, I'll just draw it like that. And we'll see what happens. So we just tapped, you guys see how quick that was? Just tapped that fib retrace and bottom. I don't like this behavior. It's too violent. It's too drastic of a price move. And it's 1 cent. You know, that's a 1 cent range. But the fact of the matter is this is a 10-cent stock, and that was a 10% move. Immediately down, immediately up. And we can't trade that consistently. Because by the time you get filled, you know, it's already going to be, you know, 5 of that 10% up or down, or maybe it's 15% down. It's just too much. All right, let's see what else we can get here. I do like the opportunity, though. Ooh, I think I might grab some of these. CDLX, it's got a push, though. I'd like to see a break over 240 on this one. And the reason I'm saying that is because of this candle right here pushing into that last larger red candle. So that would be higher risk. Sorry, I keep cutting my tongue when I talk. I got a sharp piece of my tooth back there. Yum, yum, yum. Oh, well. I always hurt myself on these streams. Either I cut my leg or my tongue is getting scraped up. I don't know. It's weird. What are you guys doing to me? And the reason I wanted 240 here is because, again, that's the final foothold there. for this, this last little hurrah move. And it's also kind of the top of this red candle here before that bigger pop to the upside. So I'd like to see that break. If it doesn't, the likelihood is we're just going to see a stronger, like a little pullback and then a continuation to a lower low. So we'll just hang out. And again, that's where patience pays. You just don't want to rush into everything just because you have cash or because you see red turn into a little bit of green. I can just wait until things make just a little more sense. All right. Also, I want to ask, sorry for yelling at you guys. I know that just kind of popped out loud. Does anybody here not have a trading coach? Have you guys built out a trading plan? Do you have confidence? Do you have a checklist you can go down? Do you swing trade and do due diligence, or do you day trade and volume? Do you analyze volume and structure? If you don't have a trading coach, I'm going to put a link here in the chat. This is not a sales pitch. It's just there for when you're ready, because I believe everyone should have access to it. That is Lee. That's Mad Maverick. He's the equities coach. He teaches he's normally the one that does this stream. He teaches his strategy. He's the one that does like the morning watch list. He does the rest retire and a bunch of other stuff. He's out this week. He's on vacation, but when he comes back, his coaching program is the one that I personally would love to see everybody in first. And then if you have a couple $1,000, or if you want to learn about spreads and options, or when you grow your account to that size, then absolutely switch over to bulls, because bull is passive options. It's relatively self-working stuff. You still have to manage the risk. There's always going to be some risk no matter what you're doing, but it's a lot less stressful and your downside is always capped. So it's pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm going to move my threshold on this one from 240 down to just breaking over this high. A little bit of a riskier move, but I kind of like it. I like this price action a little bit better. And again, if we don't get that high, that means we're just going lower, right? So there's no need to jump in ahead of time. And I'm only buying 4 shares, so it's not gonna break me. So, there we go. Go ahead and jump in there. So I grabbed 4 shares of CDLX here, and I'm going to uncheck this box so that I can sell off partials. I've got a high rate here, and that's where I'm going to lock 75% of my shares. That's going to be just over 10%. And then I got my upper level up here that I would like to see around $3 if it shoots for that, like 270, 280. Now we still got to get over this, right? There's still price action here that it's got to push through. So, and that's where if we get outvoted, it's okay. We just stop out. Otherwise, we've got a lot of potential here. It's showing a lot of strength in the moment. And we'll just see what it does. So if you look at this candle right here, the volume is relatively small. It's the same size as this one. But if you look at the size of this candle and the size of this candle, this is much more pure volume. It's more directional. I view that as a sign of strength. 224 is the daily 200 MA. Yeah, that makes sense too. I typically don't look at the indicators, but it makes sense that it would line up and see that kind of strength off of it. All I care about is it's in the right neighborhood. So this armed truck has flown away from the bank. Its doors are wide open. It's dropping cash all over the place. I just have to scoop it up and put it in my pocket before I get caught. That's my job. So I'm driving down the side of the road behind it with a big shovel, scoop it into the back of my car. Now I have to turn off into a side road before the cops catch me. So that's it. And again, we're approaching this high and we're starting to see some friction here. So you can always lock in some of those profits. My analogy is one on the criminal side. Yeah, I got to work on better, more family-friendly analogies. But what's important is that they land. You understand them, right? My job is done if that's the case. Highway robbery, check. Well, it's urban. You know, it's in a city. The guards are lazy. I'm gonna get mine. You know, I don't have to rob the bank itself. I just got to follow the truck, and then not try to crack into the truck. I'm just picking up later, man. I'm doing my part for the environment. I don't feel like I should be punished for that. All right, and then specifically, I'm going to draw another little box right here. I'm going to make that yellow. Because that's where we saw that bigger move. Now, this is a 1 minute time frame, so grain of salt and all that. But that is a strong move on decent volume. You know, it's much more pure volume. So I'm going to watch that level going forward as well. Don't rob banks, guys. It's not financial advice. Okay. How's SPY doing, by the way? Look at that. So we're just kind of hanging out, right? It wants to soak. It wants to hang out in the zone. This is where it wanted to be all along. Just kidding. So we could see a very violent move out of this one as well. Remember, it's got a very strong zone right here. This white middle box here. Let me turn that to change that to an orange box. Right, that's a structural level that's got violence. So price could push. Come back to CDLX a little bit. Now remember, every dollar that I make everywhere else offsets the drawdown on the stuff that I continue to hold while I'm waiting for the volume. And that's a double-edged sword, right? So I don't want to hold everything down 20%, but it's okay to hold some that still have potential but need volume, like AERT, for example, as long as I keep the other trades tight, right? So for example, this is up 30 cents. This one's down $2.40. So it's 1 to 8 at that point. And it's very close to my break even. It's like 3%. So this one has a lot more potential than 3%. So I'm going to let it go. But if it just wants to give me a little bit, I'll take it and I'll walk away. I think I might actually roll this one as well. I don't like what it's doing here. So I'm going to grab a few more shares on that one. I grabbed 7 shares total. I probably should have grabbed 8, but that's okay. Let me see if I can just grab one more. If I can. All right, so I'm taking a little bit more of a risk here on this one. It may bite me. That's the name of the game, but I do see a lot of volume. It's a good quality setup on the order book. It's a risk I'm willing to take. So again, sparse volume, risky biscuits day in the market. Please do not copy me. I'm trading much more aggressively, and I don't want anyone to blindly copy what they're seeing here. I'm basically following the truck. I'm tailgating it right now. So if he slams on the brake, it's game over. Yeah, exactly, J-Wag. I'm showing you the good and the bad. If you're going to trade more risky, you're going to have more risk, and it's going to be more dangerous. If you're trading more sensibly and responsibly, you're going to have less risk, and you'll have a more consistent result. So I've been doing this for a while, so I have a higher risk tolerance, and I see a lot more things that I can't always say quickly. So if I have to take action, I'll take action. But I'd rather keep you guys out of that situation because there is still a world of latency. There's my decision making from my eyes to my fingers, then to my interface to the broker, right? And the broker to the exchange, which is pretty quick. And then there is the information that you're seeing that has to come out of my mouth through the internet to your screen. Your eyes and ears have to process that. And then you have to take your action based on that. And then anywhere in between, something can get disrupted, whether it's my internet, your internet. There could be a lag spike through Discord or one of the social media platforms. I could get hit by a bus. I'm on the second floor right now, but maybe there's a ramp somewhere. There's any number of things that can go wrong. And if you're in a high risk scenario and something does go wrong, Murphy's Law, it probably will. You are no longer able to effectively manage that risk if you don't have the same experience. So that's why I don't want you guys to copy me. So we're just hanging out. We're waiting for a bigger move. I'm okay with this one. I've got, what is this, like 1945 committed to this one. So almost the full 20 that I have sitting on the side. So if my drawdown, my redness is $1.73 and I've got $20 in this one, I only really need to make about 9% on this trade before it offsets, right? And that's because I've got, 12 or 13, whatever, $14. What is it? 13.16 in this one, and then 10.18 in this one. So I've got about a roughly similar amount. I've got 13 here and 10 here, so about $23 in these two, which are red. And then I've got 20 or 18 in this one, which is currently green and has the volume. So it's just a waiting game. And I don't really want the volume to peak out. I don't want it to fall off and then have the price kind of trickle down. We have an area of extreme violence right here, and we've got it within another zone of violence. So both of these levels have demonstrated potential for the move that I'm looking for. And I've taken a risk based on the way the price has left those zones. So in theory, they should continue. If they don't, that's just how it goes sometimes, but I can't take that personally and I can't blame myself. The setup here is solid. The risk is good. The reward is more than ideal. So I'm pretty happy with taking the risk. And so far I'm trading my plan, and that's my only job. So it also looks like PBM is potentially looking to leave this zone. We'll see if that one wants to get some juice. We got a little bit of pulse there, a little bit of volume. And that's not quite a 4% candle, but if we can get a 4% candle, we'll be in business on this one. So what would this be? This would be 488 plus 4% would be 508. So if this candle or any subsequent candle can come up and hit my break even effectively, that should put it back on everyone's screeners. If we get a candle like this, for example, that's a 4.04% candle. If we can get one of those, that should surge the volume back up, and we'll be back in business on that one. All right. Also, let me draw a big fat line at 5 because that seems to be where we're getting hung up. All right. So we'll see if we want to rally up again for that, or if it's just going to pull back and hang out again. It really likes this range. It just likes hanging out in this zone. All right. Same with this one. It's just kind of hanging out here for now. We just need to see some violence out of this zone, and then we'll push over our into new high a day. There was no pre-market high on this one. Yeah. All right. So we got an ebb in volume right now. And when that volume resurges, that's when we see these kinds of moves right here. You can see ebb in volume and then a resurge and then a massive push. So there's a little bit of a cadence to it. Surprised you kids are still here. Well, we're watching. It's one of those days where the volume is kind of shuffling around in little pods. So we kind of have to wait a little longer for some of these to resolve. What are you doing? How's your work? How's your clients all doing today? Tell us about that North Carolina life. Carolina. Finished notes, might be getting a little office space with a drug trainer facility. Ooh, that sounds pretty fun. Hopefully you have some sort of dictation software that helps you with that. The notes. I worked at a hospital. I worked in the lab one day, and we called this doctor down to check out slides because we were trying to do a parasite identification. And this dude literally brought a typewriter down to the lab so he could type out his stuff. I was like, oh, that's old school. I love it. All right, so we're getting our push in a new high on CDLX. Now, this in theory is where I'd lock 75% of my shares, but I'm being a little more aggressive today, so I'm going to wait for a push up into that zone. That zone, by the way, was from the higher time frame here. So obviously we're a little bit up here. So let me just preface that with, if you don't have high risk tolerance, that would have been where you'd lock your good chunk of your profits. How old was he? I don't know. He was definitely older. He had the hunch. He was a little bit shuffly in his steps. He wasn't old though. Like he got down there pretty quick. Yeah, huge contamination risk. It was an old metal typewriter, like the old iron ones, basically. I don't know if it's actually iron, but it was a clanker. And yeah, he just brought it down and set it on the table next to the microscopes and all that. And he's just chilling, put his little gloves on and started messing around with the slides. Took them off, touched his typewriter again. But that's pretty cool. So I'm going to look to lock some of this here, and I'm expecting just another really quick pop. So let's see if I get another really quick pop. It's kind of that. Oop, there's a stall. Let's see if we get one more. There's a heartbeat. That's a very fast. That's AFib. I'm locking most of my shares here. So I locked it a little bit lower, and that's okay. I don't want to fight with that. And remember, this thing is up there. You know, I don't want to fight with a stock that's pushing into a resistance level after a almost 90% move. Okay, I'll take my profits and I'll secure them. Let me just check something real fast. Okay. All right. So again, we were a little bit aggressive on this one. We added a little bit more. So I placed 2 buys and I sold 75% of that so far. And I've got 2 shares left as a runner, so about $5. So we're back to an original first buy position size with an average of 243, and the price is currently about 270. So remember, I was $2.40 down for the day or whatever. Now I'm down 82 cents. And that includes an almost 20% drawdown and an almost $7 drawdown, or 7% drawdown on much larger positions. Okay. And that's the name of the game. If you're going to trade multiple trades for the day, you want to make sure that they offset as much as possible without taking on insane risks for all of them. So would I be okay losing like 80 cents in a day? Yeah, absolutely. That's 1.5%. we've realized $2 so far. That's about 2.5% on an account this size. Well, be 4%. My bad. Math is not my strong suit today. Yep, we're just hanging out. Now I'm all done adding. I'm not going to add any more money to this one because remember, we're in an area of potential violence. The last time the price was up here, it shot down violently over the course of a couple of weeks. From this sub 3 range all the way down to almost $1. So I don't want to be caught in that kind of rejection, which is why I locked most of my profits, most of my shares, just to get the risk off the table. Looks like AERT is kind of pulling down a little bit more too. So, all right, there we go. So we're tapping that level again, right? It's right back where it was. It just really likes touching that level. I don't know what that guy's problem is. So for now, what I can do is I can look for a validated higher low, which I don't quite see yet. Like this guy is not a candidate because this guy, 2 candles to the left, 2 candles to the right, they have to be higher than that low before I can consider that. So I'll stop out obviously below like this candle. Let me just move this down. Right? That'd be like my hard stop. And I'd like to see that a higher low about halfway down the size of this candle here. So probably around like here. So this is what I would like to see, if anything. And then a push up over a new high. Okay, not to add. I want to know when to stop out, and I need to let the chart tell me when to stop out. Because this could also just get a massive surge in volume. Like a broker could literally wash sell this right now and just pump in opposing buy and sell orders back to back and just halt the stock on volume. And I couldn't do anything about it if I didn't get out. So that's why I kind of have to watch this one. I just want to watch the time in sales to see, are we getting set up for that? Because it'll happen super fast, like within a couple seconds. So I would have to get out like immediately. Because if I wanted to short the hell out of this thing, that's exactly what I would do. I'm just going to get out right now. I don't trust it. And if it wants to bounce and all that, it can, but I'm done because it broke what I wanted to see. So the chart and I were no longer having the same conversation. And when that happens, it's time to just cut ties and move on. All right. So let's peek back over to ERT. So again, we're seeing some signs of strength off this yellow box. Right? Doesn't mean it's going to hold. It doesn't guarantee it's going to go up, but it just shows that there's still some activity down here. And that repeatedly, the more that happens, the more potential there is for my move to happen. PBM volume has just not come in yet. It's still just kind of hanging out. So these two are kind of just floating around. There's not much going on today. So with that said, I will end the recording and the live stream. Let me put that link in the chat just so that they'll have access to his coaching stream again. And then I'm going to end the stream on socials. I'll hang out in the Discord, so everyone is free to join me there.